Welcome to Co-op Mode. My name is Mike Espy.
Hello, kids. I'm Ben Teed.
That's quite the delay, Ben. You motherfucker. Continue.
We have some guests with us today. It's going to be real nice.
Do we? Do we really have some guests?
Yes. I would first like to introduce Ryan.
Hello, I'm Josh Ackerman.
Oh, man.
I am Ryan Pickard.
And then not only do we have Ryan, we also have...
And I am not Chris Lowe. I'm Steve Clark.
You got stuck with Chris.
The only.
The one and only Steve Clark. So basically it's 3-shot plus half of co-op.
And 3-shot is another video game review podcast.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
We've reviewed zero video games.
Yeah, zero video games,
Zero
but
video
we
games.
are another video game review
So you're totally qualified for this show.
Totally. Qualified.
Well, that's one of the fun things about this show, isn't it? Is that, Ryan and I are gamers of a different caliber than you two are.
I feel I play video games pretty.
So perhaps I should retract that
Yeah.
statement. And I should say that I, Steve Clark, am a gamer of a different level than you three are.
What would you classify yourself as?
Oh man, I was really big into video games in like 2011, 2012. But since I started my current job, I've just not made time for games.
Mm-hmm.
I have kind of moved away from that. So yeah, I don't play that often.
You're not on the fourth disc of Final Fantasy VII or anything like that. You don't make the time for those really long.
I did for the Arkham games, for the first two Arkham games, and sadly, they got too good for my 360. And obviously, the last installment came out, and I've not played it. Those are the two best games I've ever played. So for a game to that caliber, I would devote the time to it.
I like when he said really long games like Arkham, and I'm thinking, Arkham? Are you talking about the Batman games?
Mass Effect, though. You played Mass Effect series.
Yeah,
so
that's a good
those
point.
are
those are long.
Those are.
I'm talking like the 80-hour Witcher, like Fallout 4. I can't do that. I look at that and I say,
Final Fantasy
I like my life.
IX.
I like seeing people.
Right. I think Final Fantasy IX was the first Final Fantasy game I ever played. Mm-hmm. I bought that just shot in the dark, and that was at least 80 hours at least.
Yeah.
And then 10 came out, and then I went back and played Final Fantasy VIII a little bit. I've never played 7.
Of all games, like you've never played Final Fantasy VII.
It's on.
That blows my mind.
It's on PlayStation 4 now, and I've been thinking about getting it.
What is Final Fantasy 1 like? Cave drawings?
It might as well be in comparison. It's just a text-based adventure.
MS DOS.
Yeah, DOS Choose Your Adventure.
DOS Choose Your Adventure.
Yeah, nowadays, like you could. I remember Call of Duty. I can't remember which one. I beat it in about 4-5 hours.
Oh.
Compared to just how long.
What a jip! No.
Yeah, Half-Life 2 I feel like was at least 20 hours. Thinking of other games I've played, the longest game I probably played recently, Alien Isolation was pretty long.
Yeah, you did play that.
Wow.
Oh,
Life is Strange was pretty long.
How long was that?
That one's like
it's at least 16 hours.
Well,
Alien Isolation is probably at least 14. Depending on
at least
if you play it that way, you could probably beat it in 8 if you just played it like straight through. But if you played
doesn't that ruin the
That's what I'm saying. If you don't play it like it's intended, then you're not. I don't think gonna get that kind of experience.
Let's say.
The length of games have gone down considerably.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, Naughty Dog, those games, Uncharted, Last of Us was at least probably 15 hours at least.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure I clocked 20 for Last of Us for sure.
Yeah. And again, that's just back to how you play it. I'm sure Heavy Rain will probably take me at least 10 hours. But I forgot so much about that game. But Rocket League is endless.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I think
really
you would be
yeah.
interested in it, Steve, because it is kind of more of a. You can get a. Well, I guess we'll get into it. I guess you can do a match in like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But each one takes about 15, 20 because of replays and all that.
Are you
Yeah.
talking about
Rocket League?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and it's more. I know your interests lie in a more sporty type of.
I do like sports.
And
Yeah,
you play the
absolutely.
sports games and stuff like that.
Madden,
and
yeah.
This one is that type of it. I mean, with the exception of actual soccer games, this is like the closest thing to a soccer game and stuff like that. So, but it's so ridiculous, and we'll get into it. But.
So, like with all the sports games so Steve, you've been a big sports fanatic, and I know Ryan, you played FIFA.
I love FIFA
quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I have
played it,
actually, with me, when it comes to sports games, I've only played a handful. I would say a handful. Believe it or not, they actually consider Mario Kart a sports game because it's racing. It's technically a racing game, and it's probably like the most enjoyable sports game I actually have played. It's aside from Rocket League. But other than that, like I'm not into Madden, not even the NHL stuff. I used to be when I was a kid, and I played on my dad's computer, but after a while I was just like, man, if I want to play hockey, I just go out and fucking play hockey. I can't take a car and hit a fucking soccer ball with it. If I really wanted to, I'd probably get in some serious trouble here.
So you don't like playing sports games for sports that you could just go outside and play?
I'm in that mindset most of the time because it's like when I see people playing football, it's like I actually start jonesing. Like I want to get outside and start playing football right now for whatever reason. Or when I watch one of my favorite teams play hockey, it's like, man, I really want to go play hockey right now. It's one of those things here.
So I was gonna say, so to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying there, I think there's something with, and it has some. I know it sounds tangential, but I swear it's got something to do with Rocket League. It's kind of this comparison that my favorite sports games growing up, I played Madden, I played NHL on PC for some weird reason, and like and I would play some of these sports games. They felt like almost in the way that like like Airplane, or what is it called, Flight Simulator 2010 or something, how you have to be really like mathematical in the way that you fly, and it's very just like they're deadpan serious about.
Have you seen some of the cockpits that some people create?
There's games like that. That's what Madden was to me. I enjoyed like NBA Street or NFL Street or whatever those ones were called, way more because they were cartoonier and they were just ridiculous.
Some more like Blitz and stuff.
Yes, I enjoyed those way more because they were
NBA Jam.
They were more arcadey and more game-like than like the straightforward like, I know that quarterback, I know who that person is, I know like
it's a cover 2 defense.
Yes, and so there was a bit of that where I was like, I liked it, I enjoyed it, but I could just watch a football game, like, or I could just go play football or something like that. Whereas I enjoyed the reason it has to do with Rocket League, where the world looks like a real like HD Nintendo-y looking world. I mean, it's I think the map Coliseum is so colorful. It's like like a rainbow. It looks like a castle, or you're playing out in the desert, or you're playing at night in on a different planet.
And the train station too, like
and the Rocket Lab levels are great as well.
And I would even put when the ball goes into the net and it explodes, I would equate that moment, like the first time that happens, the satisfying awesome moment, to what the when you make a shot in Peggle and then everything explodes and Ode to Joy plays and stuff like that. Like there's a moment in Peggle where that happens and you're like, shit, that was awesome. That's what I mean. When you get a goal in, it doesn't just go blink, like your point goes up. It explodes, cars go flying and stuff like that. Like that
it's like
makes it a video game. That makes it way more fun than any like sports game.
It's such a video game thing. It's one of the most over the top moments in video games for me. But that when I say over the top, I mean that like the best way possible, because it's so gratifying. Because I never get sick of it when I hit that ball into the net. It's like boom.
It's because Rocket League makes you earn those goals, especially. The game, people might play it team-based, if they have friends or they're just wanting to be serious about it. But ultimately, the game is an arcade game.
Yeah.
The game is really a nod to 90s mall arcade games that you would find that you could just put a quarter in and start playing. And those goals made are just super satisfying. The thing which makes it even better is that everybody else wants that same feeling.
Right.
They want that feeling of I earned this goal. And I think that's why it's so spastic and so addicting, because everybody essentially wants the same thing. You might be on a team, but Rocket League to me is not a team-based type of game. Unless you're playing with friends, then you might play a little bit more organized.
I think that it can be in terms of how the game rewards assists as well.
That's true.
And like, the joy that kind of comes with, setting up somebody else, coming in from the left or coming in from the right.
Yeah.
And just, nudging the ball. So it's centered, in front of the goal, and then someone else comes in and finishes it off.
Yeah.
And I think also the reliance on other people. Rocket League is exponentially much more fun to play when you are playing it with somebody.
Yes.
I think, for me personally, I don't like normally playing online, but when I do play online, it's usually Rocket League. And I think putting that dependency on someone you don't know and whether or not they're going to approach the game the same way makes the game even more exciting. That uncertainty of whether or not you're going to get somebody who knows to back off the ball so that it could go up, so that the person waiting by the goal can hit it in it for the setup.
I would say it's totally like the way I've been playing. It's very strategical with me, almost mathematical, because I've started learning. I don't want to say a trick or a trade or anything, but I figured like a formula out that has worked for myself, and it actually started at Fort Land when Ben and I were game with each other, because we had posted a couple of videos online of us playing, while we were at our houses, through online. And I was talking to Steve earlier that I noticed the way I was playing today, or yesterday, and I am much more calculated. I'm not as aggressive. It's like I always like to make the analogy, like it's like a bunch of 8-year-olds trying to kick the soccer ball. Like they just get in that big cluster cuss, and it's just like cars ramming into each other, and it's just like
I love playing that.
That's
way.
That's.
I mean, it drives me crazy because it happens.
Here comes the first rant.
We're all taking pizza and we're slamming it into our mouth while he's like with the fork in the mouth.
Yeah, you're the guy with the fork.
I'm just like, this is not gonna get me anywhere. I'm not gonna score because I always play. I have been playing ranked for most of the time.
Yeah, where
now.
are you ranked right now?
I think I'm like Prospect 3 Division something.
Is it third from the bottom, Prospect, or?
I think that goes up higher than that. It's like Prospect 2.
I wouldn't know.
Prospect 3.
You're talking about like season 2 stuff.
Yeah, like
Man,
the ranking system. And the reason
I'm semi-pro.
Well, I'm classified as semi-pro, but with a ranking system, it's still really weird. I think I'm classified as like a Prospect 3 Division 2.
What do you play? Do you play 2 versus 2 or 3?
I played 3 versus 3.
3 versus 3. Wow.
In fact, that's been it's been my best way of playing the game. It really has.
We play it that way quite a bit.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah,
we play 3 versus 3.
And do you guys do split screen then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Vertical or horizontal. Yeah.
We think we found that vertical is our preferred arrangement.
It's just like when you're sitting side by side, having to go from top to bottom is a little bit harder to follow on the eye. Whereas if he's on my left, having a vertical screen that divides the screen right down the center, it just makes it that.
You have a pretty big TV too, don't you?
Yeah, I mean it does decrease your your
visibility.
Your visibility
yeah.
though. So the ball cam comes in use a lot more. I probably use ball cam more when I'm playing with someone else split screen than I do when I'm playing by myself.
See, I actually I use the ball.
PS4? Is it PS4? PS4?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I actually use the ball cam quite a bit.
Yeah, for me, if I could see if the ball is in my field of view, I don't use the ball cam. Mm-hmm. Only when it goes out of my field of view, just so I can know where it's going.
I've been fighting with that. Okay, so we need to talk about the strategy.
Yeah.
forget reviewing it.
Yeah.
There was a moment where I was like, why wouldn't you use ball cam? And so that was my very first like maybe 5 levels of playing. Mm-hmm. I was like, I got to use ball cam. And then from like level like 8 to probably 12 or something like that, I'm like, screw ball cam. That's just awful. So all I did was just drive around and do it that way.
Yeah.
Not getting very far. And so then now that I'm like around 15 or so, I think I'm just past that. I think I might be at 17 or 18 or something. Mm-hmm. Ball cam it's just an extra thing to pay attention to clip back on and off.
Right. That's what I do.
But I'm so glad that it's just a quick little like, okay, so I'm using a combination or whatever. But is that essentially what you guys
have
found or whatever? Okay.
Yeah, I'm very much like,
because that's what it's. I watch other players on YouTube or something like that, and I'm like, oh, I see that they're doing this or that, and I'm not.
Am I the only one?
I kind of got a little bit self-conscious playing Rocket League. Am I doing this right?
The biggest problem I have with Rocket League when I play is I have a tendency to just overshoot the ball on really easy shots. Like the ball will just be rolling at a snail pace.
You feel like a brute. Like you feel it, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just back. All right, I'm gonna fucking just nail it right in the goal, and I just blaze right by it. See, I just miss it completely.
See, and that's one of the reasons why I can play 3 versus 3, because in my experience, I've always had that one person who always is like, I'm gonna gung ho and be like a blazing mofo, but the other person would be able to get that rebound and actually hit it actually towards the net. And there have been several times when I was defending, I would be able to capitalize on that moment. So I would just like jump and just rocket myself at the ball and just get a goal and
clean it up. Yeah,
it is interesting to see how players' behaviors have changed dramatically within the time that the game has been out. You know, where it was really free for all, nobody really paid attention to the goal. Now it's almost like at least every other game, the first thing I see people do when the timer goes off is somebody immediately backs up. Mm-hmm. You know, defense. People are finally realizing that defending goes a long way if you're playing 3 versus 3 or 4 versus 4. Mm-hmm. Because before, I've been playing long enough that before it wasn't like that at all. Nobody would really defend. Nobody just wanted to be that defender. No. And then they realized that, you know, having epic saves and saves in general was a good stat to boost or a statistic for yourself.
It's rewarding.
Yeah, it is rewarding.
It's a great feeling because it's not only you're blocking the ball, but half the time you're pretty much doing like an aerial save, and I think that's one of the harder things to actually grasp a hold of is that, and I still think it is. It's just doing like an aerial jump to a point. You're able to guide yourself
with the boost.
Yeah, with the boost. Yeah, able to guide yourself accordingly.
It's hard for me.
I mean, I've gotten a little bit better at that, and it's one of those times. It's like when you're just patient and you're watching everybody just clash against each other. You're just like, I'm just gonna back off, and then there's that one moment you're like, bingo, and just go right for it.
That's what makes the game amazing.
Are those
moments. But then what doesn't make the game amazing is when the computer, if you're playing with the computer, one of the most frustrating things that the computer does is that, say your ball gets knocked down to your goal, and we've had this happen multiple times, me and him playing. Yeah. Our computer player will chase down the ball, but because the computer does not have the speed to get in front, it'll just keep knocking the ball forward and then knocks it into it. And it's not just a one-time thing. I've
seen that.
Frequent thing where I just think something in the coding and
you're talking about just you're talking about the computer.
I've seen it happen and human controlled.
I don't see that as often anymore because when I get on to play, like, I got about 20 minutes before work. Let me just do. Yeah, it is just ranked, whatever that's called.
Yeah, ranked matches.
I'll just play that.
Yeah. So you rarely play against bots?
I almost never play bots, and the only time I ever did was because at the very beginning because I felt like I need to learn the controls a little better, or if I'm going to be playing for my level 8 to 12 years or whatever, it was like, I need to learn how to play without a ball cam, so I better get used to,
See, I think the thing is for me, it's almost I don't want to say it's like when I say game breaking, it's not like it's the end all the be all for the game, but it's one of those things. Like when I first started playing, I noticed that the AI, it was like I had my own teammate, my own AI just taking the ball down their own net, and there's 2 other opponents just following right behind them. They're just trucking along, and I'm like, what the hell is going on
here? That
here?
Behavior it's weird. They don't account for that. That to happen, so the computer just doesn't know what to do except save. But they inadvertently, while trying to save it, it's like it's conflicted. They want to protect the ball by knocking it away, but they don't realize that the direction of the ball that they're knocking it into is toward the goal.
I mean, that's what I used to practice earlier on, and then after a while, it's like to eliminate that effect. It's like, okay, I'm gonna start playing with people now. Even though there are times when it's just aggravating when people actually hit it into their own, into your own goal because they're just coming at full speed in a direction. They're hitting the ball in the direction of your own net, which drives me crazy. And like, no, you're gonna score on us. You're gonna give them a point. And that was the early infancy stage of playing Rocket League. And then that's when I start developing. It's like, okay, if that ball is really close to my net, I have to get my ass around so I hit in the opposite direction. But it's like 9 times out of 10, there's always that one person.
But that's why I had to turn chat off. If I play online, I can't play it with chat on. I can't handle that pressure.
I don't do voice. I just do text.
No, I turn that shit off.
Oh, do you really? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. Team-based games, I can't play. It's already a high pressure
with random people.
With random people, I don't know how seriously they take the game.
Yeah.
Turning the chat off alleviates that. So while I know I'm playing with people, if I fuck up, and occasionally I will fuck up,
right.
I like knowing that I'm not going to get berated or yelled at, or have the passive aggressive condescending like nice shot. And it's just like I don't need that.
But see, the shortcut answers never ever bother me because they can be interpreted in multiple ways. But for most cases, for me,
it's kind of interesting. By the way,
nice shot
in the language design of that game. It's very interesting that you can say "nice shot" to somebody, and you can interpret it multiple ways. I just find that so fascinating
but
about
you
that
can
game because it's this weird psychological thing added to what's already a sports.
You can usually tell when they're being shitty. Like if you accidentally score in your own goal and they're saying nice shot, nice shot. Yeah, there's something. Yeah, or people
rage quit or
rage quitting. Yeah.
I've had.
Which does it count against them?
What?
No, a bot immediately. No, it does not count against you. Which for all the years that there have been multiplayer games and online multiplayer games, it's amazing that there hasn't been a better system established when it comes to punishing people who rage quit. I know Street Fighter 5 and Capcom, they're getting serious about that.
They had the #1 world player online. Mm-hmm. He rage quit. And they threw him down back to like a bronze level, so he was like at a diamond.
So they make you feel.
Oh, they make you feel the pain. So that basically, I don't know what the tier level is, but he was at the highest status you can be in Street Fighter 5, and then they found out he rage quit. So what do they do to punish? Because it's not just one time. It's been a trend for him.
Yeah.
They punished him by putting him back down to a bronze level. So knowing like what a bronze level is, it's not that good.
Not as good. Yeah.
I guess you punish yourself by not. If you're playing ranked, you don't get any of the points or you don't get anything like added. Whereas even if I lose and I finish a game, I still get 750, I think, or something like that.
I think that is that's applicable to your what if you're semi-pro or pro, which doesn't mean shit. It just means how many. Pretty much
how long you've played.
How much you've played.
It's to help the game probably figure out. See, okay, here's the interesting part too, and I'd kind of like to pose a question. Like, this is really my first time playing something for an extended amount of time that was
not narrative.
Highly well, no, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think. Oh, there's been plenty of games like that.
Yeah.
But like multiplayer.
Right.
Like online where I played it for like other than Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, I really don't play things that involve random people, mostly because I'm not invested. If I know Ryan is about to get eaten by zombies in Left 4 Dead 2 or something like that, I will go back and I will help him because it's Ryan.
Yeah.
But like,
thank you, Ben.
But it's one of those things. Unlike this asshole who leaves people, which also happened at Fortland. And we're all bitching him out too.
Oh, that's so funny.
But like, there's an investment in that. Like when I play, But for some reason, this one, and you brought it up a little. Or I think you started hitting it a little bit earlier, where you play. It's fun to play by yourself against random people. It's still arcadey and interesting. You can get rid of the hate and stuff like that, while you're playing. But for the most part, you don't really, you don't really have to communicate unless you are really
That's
super
true.
serious. Like unless it is in a in a ranked or tournament type
and I
setting.
found that people with sports games anyway. Okay, the last time I played a multiplayer game with this kind of replayability, the last time where I actively wanted to play multiplayer was probably Left 4 Dead and Halo 3. Since Halo 3, Halo Reach, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, I don't think I had barely dabbled in multiplayer games.
I really did too. Yeah, same.
And I think it's the pressure. Whereas with Halo and Left 4 Dead, those games were arcadey, violent, not ridiculous shooting games that, you know, were more fun, less serious. Rocket League, while not serious at all, it goes back to that pressure I was feeling when it comes to sports games. There's a pressure on you where if points come very uneasy to you as a player, or to just in general for this game, it's like soccer, so you know, it's not high scoring. I mean, there's that pressure. If it's 1-1 or it's 0-1 or 0-2, or the ball's coming your way, or you're defending, or you take the initiative to defend, or there's an opportunity to score, there are so many scenarios where the pressure is on you to perform well. So I think that in a way is also why sometimes it's nice to play bots, because that way I could truly enjoy it. But when I play it online, the enjoyment kind of like halves. It becomes less enjoyable and much more like, okay, I actually have to take this seriously because these other people I'm playing with could be really into it. So it's a fine line where there's a part of me that knows that the other people at the other end could really want to win, and I can't just fuck around and just play recklessly or however, you know, you can't really do that.
I've always felt like there's been instances where I've been down like 0-2, and we have just come back and
those are so fun.
And we womped them. And the thing is like, I mean, and that's why I keep the chat, because it has those commands, because I don't do voice chat in there and I barely type it out. So those shortcuts for me work wonderfully, because I mainly use defending, and I think it's I got it, and then that's about it, or thanks, what to say, that sort of thing. I don't even try to I don't put anything like condescending in there. It's like, or they have those expletives, and it's like, fuck. Like there have been times where I did like a backflip, and I thought the way I was backflipping that it would definitely hit the ball, not towards the net, but somehow the angle that I was at, it would actually hit the ball in net, and I'm just like, that fucking blew my mind.
Yeah.
There's been instances in this game where I played it, I just go, physically, like, I know this game's not about physics, but there's sometimes I just go, I don't think that's right, the way my car was at and the way the ball would hit, it would actually go
There
in.
are times where the physics of the ball there have been times where we would be playing, and sometimes the physics of the ball was a little bit ridiculous, but I can't think of a game I've had,
Oh, no, I totally get that.
Right.
Yeah, I totally get that. It's just one of those things you're just like, I'm willing to accept this world for what it is, but there are instances in this time you just go, somehow just the way things look and the way things should hit, and it's just like, I don't see how that adds up right now, bud. Like, that's like, I don't know how that would go in my net. The way the ball hit me, I would think that it would go to like at an angle outside and not go in the net. Like, I don't know what accounted for that. I don't know what math was going on at that point in time. And I was just like, it's one of those things like, oh, fuck it. It just makes me much more determined to be like, okay, I'm going to get the goal. I'm going to make sure we score a goal here. But
that's amazing for matches that are only 5 minutes. That this game is that it gets you to care about your skills, that it gets you to want to be better for matches that are 5 minutes.
Self-expression. The other thing I was going to bring up along with that, what's amazing about this 5 minutes of playing is you could customize your car how you want. You put a sombrero on it if you want. You can put whatever flag you want on it.
Yeah.
I never did that because for a very specific reason. Not that I didn't want to express myself with my car or anything like that, but I'd particularly choose the bigger car and no special, doodads on the car or anything like that, for the specific reason of I thought it would, if I had a bigger car, that would make my, quote, hitbox bigger, even though that didn't matter. I found out later.
Oh, yeah.
And then not only that, but like if I got a flag waving behind me or I got like a big crown on top of my car or something like that.
Right.
I thought that meant it had to render out more of the game to get me to move quick. I thought if I had nothing and if I was just a bare car, it would just make me just whatever.
Okay.
I'm going to be quicker and it's not going to have to render as much. Turns out that's not how it works.
Right.
So
they're mainly just accessories and accessories.
Yeah, they're just pretty much cosmetics.
I didn't really want to show off like I got this car, I got this hat, or I got this color or something like that. I didn't.
My candy corn. And
if I make my goal, I want to go right back into the huddle and get down on my knee and get ready. Like be like Spartan about it.
It's very much a personal cosmetic experience. I don't think there's ever been an instance where I've looked at another car and be like, oh shit, how did he get that car? Like. Fuck him.
This ain't your first. Yeah,
it's
but
not your first game
you
does
ever
that.
played.
It's very much a personal. It's more
fun,
about personal expression with the cars because I know that nobody
just
is
trying to do the dumbest
wondering
stuff.
like how you got the money trail.
I think they know that. I have the feeling.
Shit.
I have the feeling that they what is it, psionics or whatever. I feel like they know that. So they'll make the dumbest stuff.
Yeah.
So that you can just put the dumb stuff on your car because they know you're just gonna be kind of irreverent about it.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think
it's fun sometimes.
Psionics is doing it right. They price the DLC at a ridiculously affordable and agreeable price, $2.99, $3.99. Yeah. I don't think there's been a DLC pack that's cost more than $4.99.
I think the Batman Superman vehicle was $1.99 or something.
Yep,
like
$1.99 is what I paid for it. Yeah,
sweet.
I think that they
that's totally
are aware of the fact that how gamers regard DLC, that it's very hostile. So I think they acknowledge the fact that if we just do cosmetics and then price it the way it should be priced and not try to imply that there's anything more to it than that, then that's treating the gamer with respect. And I know that Reddit and just comments in general and forums, people love Psionics for that reason. That they don't treat the gamer like they're idiots.
I mean, do you have any of the extra like hats and
I do, but I don't use them
and stuff like that. And then if you do, part 2 is how does that compare to something like TF2 or something like that?
See, my thing is it's not that it's cosmetics in general. It's just that the rewards for it is strictly cosmetics most of the time, and I personally, and it's kind of a knock, but it's not the biggest knock on Psionics or Rocket League in general. It's just, I think that now with TF2, there are multiple ways to get weapons, and that's and that is you could do by achievements, random drops, or you can actually purchase it. Now, if you want to purchase it, it's lower than the actual cosmetic stuff like a beard or a hat. Hats are ridiculously priced, but at the core of it,
like how much?
Sometimes I think there's like a $10 hat, but there are people out there. You're already in the shot, bud. You're in the shot regardless.
It's me going no, not $10 for a hat. Sorry,
no, but there are people out there who will pay for that.
Yeah,
and I think there's only one time I actually bought cosmetic stuff because it was a sale, like it was 50% off or higher or more than that. And I got like this little Venture Bros get up for the heavy or something.
I saw that. I love that. You can play as Brock Sampson.
Yeah, pretty much.
As
that
like for the heavy.
And that was like super cheap because normally that stuff is expensive.
Yeah.
It was one of those things like, hey, this kind of fits his personality and it does nothing for the game at all. I just look funny. And most of the time with the cosmetics
same thing with Rocket League.
Yeah, for most of the time it doesn't do anything with Rocket League. Now, I was told while Ryan was streaming, he said the cars did something, played different or felt different. And you know what?
I am a strong believer that there are differences.
I didn't feel a difference.
Cars.
I don't feel a difference.
I think there are too.
Like with the Batmobile, especially with the van, with a couple of the cars that were a part of the Mad Max vehicle pack kind of thing. Yeah. I think that those vehicles are definitely lurching, like moving forward slower.
They handle differently.
Can I get the Batmobile and then have a rainbow streak out the back?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
You can't.
No, you can't. No.
Because the Back to the Future car, I have that one, and it only does the Back to the Future stuff.
Yeah, the Batmobile.
But it's cool. It looks cool.
The Batmobile's boost is in the shape of the bat symbol.
I just want a Batmobile.
Yeah, I know. I would love that too.
It has just a rainbow streak.
I thought it controlled like shit. I thought the controls were completely I thought the handling of it was completely different. And I thought
that's interesting because
weird tank controls on that.
No. For me, like when it comes down to it, every vehicle does the same thing. So it just left me no incentive to really like changed my car because I would see like vehicles that look like Hummers that are catching up to me and they appear to do something the same things that I'm doing. And the thing is, I recall the first time I was playing it, Like I thought like the Hummer was like at least looked like a Hummer. It was just like it's the knockback, like the amount of force it has.
The Enforcer
car.
car.
Yeah, the Enforcer car, which is like blowing me away. So I would go look, and when I got that, I went to go look at it, and there's no information telling me that does that.
Yeah.
I see. Here's the thing. I get what you're saying, and I think one way that they could remedy that is if for your matches they separated the cars into 3 categories. That if you're playing, that the category has to be chosen. Like okay, so you are assigned the role of the speedy. So here are the 5 speedy cars you could choose from.
Yeah.
Here's the role of you've been assigned the role of the tank. Here are your enforcer cars you could pick from. But I think that's
giving it classes, like in that
is
work.
That right? Is it
that would work better for me?
You're talking about proposing that.
I'm
proposing.
Because
okay.
Because Mike, I know.
I thought I was like, does that work that way?
No.
No.
Mike and I have talked about this before. That Mike, you have an issue with the lack of stats, and I think that because they do not classify or give you the option to only pick certain cars, it would be impossible. Not impossible, but I don't think that making the cars have individual stats would be good for the gameplay itself, because then you're giving people the option to pick from a huge selection of cars with different stats that could potentially game the multiplayer experience.
Okay.
But I get what because with like Team Fortress, for example, you have how many classes?
You have 3 classes. You have offense, defense, supportive.
Right. So that from the get-go is established so that when you play it, by default, the other team is going to have the same classes as you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you added stats to the cars in Rocket League but no classes, the concern becomes, okay, you're playing 4 versus 4. If you guys select 4 random cars, the other team could hypothetically pick the 4 best cars.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I think that it's possible for sure, but I think it would dramatically affect the way the game is played.
See,
that makes sense.
It does. That's a valid point, but at the same time, I've seen these other cars do the same things that I'm doing, and they have no problem catching up to me, and that I can knock them. It feels like I can knock them pretty hard too, even though the way I play doesn't involve getting really scrappy
But I mean, that's
getting caught up in the mix.
That's the difference, though. The skills don't lie in the car. The skills lie in as you as a player.
The user.
The
user.
Person inside it.
The user.
And I think that then is the point of the rank system. So that when you're playing people who are 19, 20, 18, 17, whatever, that there for you, that's how you know where the stats are. It's not definable. It's not equatable to any one thing. I mean, all you know is that this person has played long enough, played well enough to get to this point.
Yeah.
So I think that is kind of a supplement to you wanting stats, but I also know what you mean. Stats would be cool, but I mean, did stats make a difference in Mario Kart necessarily? I mean,
I felt like they have.
Do they? I mean, in recent, I haven't played 8, so
I felt like I've been able to kick
different?
so much ass with the motorcycle for whatever reason.
Oh, that makes sense.
But I
car.
mean, like individual, like is Mario? Does Mario have better handling than Luigi? But Luigi has better. I don't know.
I don't know. I have not played that enough.
He can float.
That kind of stuff, I think, is what I'm
fucking Mario
thinking about. Like, and that's where I think that the stats. I mean, if the games are longer, the stats I think I could see. Yeah, stats would be cool. But they're 5-minute matches where people are not playing based off of whether or not their car is faster than another car. They're playing based off of, how can I get the ball into the goal? And
it's
I think
just
that's
another
when
thing
stats
that helps
become
you with
irrelevant.
that self-expression of what kind of car you pick. And when we were playing in the tournament for Fort Land, everyone had these crazy cars and stuff like that, and I just, like I said, was telling before, I just wanted to remain completely Spartan and just be sparse and not draw attention to it. It's all about and I would choose the Scarab. It was like a ball shaped car.
Yeah.
And I've just figured if I'm a ball like knocking into another ball, I could for some reason I thought that this would work. And I guess I don't know. It was all about getting down that field.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times I would be trying to play offense, and so getting down that field was important.
Yeah.
And then whenever it came to our end of the field, meaning our team side, it was all about remaining between the ball and the goal, much like you would in soccer or hockey or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, the other cool thing too, I don't know if any of you guys agree with this or not, but like one of the things we were talking about how great the good the DLC is and stuff like that is how much there's actually just a few short months between releasing new stuff. I think whether or not you're playing with the gravity or whether or not you're playing with a puck or like a square or was it cube or something like that, like as ridiculous as it is and as stupid as it is kind of fun to experiment sometimes with it. I kind of like it. I mean,
wish there was more manipulation in the cars, though, and I kind of think it would be cool if the boosts were replaced with random mutators that affected the game in the moment. Like it's suddenly
mutators. That's what I was trying to think of.
Like it suddenly made your car but it was specific only to your car.
Sure.
See, I think that would be a good way to add a different, an altered sense of competitiveness. Because there are those variables that you can't account for that are specific to that car only instead of all cars or across the gameplay entirely, or that affects the game for the duration of the 5 minutes that you play it. But yeah, the stats thing, I like the cosmetic stuff. I think that's just personal expression, like you already said.
I stopped changing the way my car looked at probably like 4 hours into the game.
That surprised me because I'm very I love messing with the cars and paint jobs.
I just always try to find the dumbest thing.
Really?
I just try to find the dumbest looking thing.
Yeah.
Just because.
Why not?
Because I want to express myself, and what better way to do that?
One of my favorite things about the game, though, is the soccer chants. When you're playing at the Coliseum or those stadiums, even the Mad Max stadium, hearing the soccer chants, it just gives it that sense of epic scale that I think the game really benefits from.
We talked about when you make a goal it explodes, but I did not mention the
it's one of my favorites.
It goes off, and it's exactly what you do in regular soccer or something like that, but. Yeah, it was one of those things that adds to it.
You've got to watch it. You've got to watch one of your replays from spectator mode. Basically move the camera as far back so that you have the point of view from wherever the crowds are sitting. And watching a Rocket League match take place when you can see the entire field from the seats is actually incredibly and very entertaining.
Yeah. See a car drive by.
Yeah, it literally is just cool. A bunch of tiny little moving vehicles, and
cool.
It's comical in a way because they're just so tiny, and you can't hear them moving.
I might have to play around with that.
It's fun. You can move the camera around, pan it around.
I've done that before to get epic just because that's just me being a camera dude,
right? Just
trying to get those epic moments, how awesome does this look from looking from down up at it. It's oh my god, this is amazing.
Dude, try it. It's fun.
Just the whole simple idea of just putting your camera out in the
Plus you get an achievement. So
do you really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
For watching one of your replays.
I take it no one's played the the one that came before it. I forget what it's called. It's Rocket Car.
No, I
did not.
Something.
No. Okay.
Rocket
I haven't either.
Something? What?
Yeah, there was before Rocket League. Sonic's made a pretty much the same game, but it did not hit in the same way this one did. I think what made this one, everyone go nuts for this one, is the timing. It came out right around, and then it was free on PS4 for a little bit. And did it stay free, or did you have to buy it eventually?
For the month.
So it's free for the month, and
discounted for PS Plus members.
And so if you were a PS Plus member after that, I mean, why
and
the
then
heck
crossplay has that been?
No, it's not been
yet?
Implemented.
So
crossplay is implemented only in.
Oh, it is.
It is. I want to.
I thought PS4 could play with PC, but
that's what I'm trying to say.
Xbox can't play.
Correct. That's what I was gonna say was I believe crossplay has been implemented, but you can't hey, let's find Ryan and get him on.
How would we be able to play?
I think it's just one of those things where it's it hooks up I want to say it's random, just these people are playing on PC, these people, and also you have to be whenever I go into a ranked, it says what region.
Yeah.
And I always go with both USA regions and stuff like that because I used to be everyone. And
I would love to play. I wish I could play with you guys. That would be excellent. But that's a shame that we can't.
Yeah.
You had made a quote in our Facebook group message about crossplay. You had mentioned.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why crossplay technically that the technology probably could make the crossplay happen, Xbox could play with PC, players, or PS4 can play with PC or whatever. But it makes sense that you can't get either one because maybe there's some sort of contract that that Microsoft has, or Sony doesn't. I mean, Sony and Microsoft don't want to battle to get. Let's have them fight together. It may be, good for us and awesome, but like business wise, that wouldn't make any sense to work together. So
apparently, though, you can create a private match.
Oh, okay.
And that's how
through
you
crossplay. Okay.
Through crossplay, yeah, that's really the only way
so
you
we
can.
Need
we have
one,
to
two,
do
three.
that.
We need 2 more people to play.
We'll do 2 versus 2.
Or
Trevor,
or
4v4,
man.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it'd be amazing.
When I got the Steam Link, the little box that you can stream to your TV and stuff, they were giving free copies of Portal 2, I think, and Rocket League. So I was like, I already got Rocket. What do I gonna give this to? Like, so it was nice to have, oh neat, you can give this to a friend and pretty much.
Now I can't wait to go and play some more of it after we get done here.
That's really good. Yeah.
I know, I'm addicted to it now. I really am now.
Yeah.
It wasn't that high on it the very first time around, but
really,
yeah.
I was not.
Talking to you more about it, I think initially talking on Facebook when you're like, I can't stand the stat stuff, I was just like, what the fuck is Mike talking about?
Yeah.
But hearing your reasoning and rationale, I mean, especially when you come back from a multiplayer background, you playing Team Fortress so much and everything.
I don't think you do you?
No,
I don't either.
I'm more story.
This is the most different game I think we've had on the show.
Yeah.
Like in comparison, because there's usually like, well, I like the story and I like the graphic. It's like this is like
pure multiplayer.
It's just pure multiplayer. Yeah. Or if it's bots, it's still the same formula that you would play.
I mean, before Rocket League, I mean, lately I've been playing Heavy Rain, Firewatch.
Okay.
Life is Strange.
You asked me before what I've been playing. I've been playing
Firewatch. I mean, those are story-centric games.
Yeah.
I mean, Rocket League. I mean, it takes a lot for me to care about multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Drive Club. That was one of the biggest things about Drive Club was that you could play a game and you could play multiplayer games with your friends, and your friends wouldn't even necessarily have to be playing. You could be playing against their ghosted version of their car. That was kind of cool. But even that couldn't get me to be interested enough, and I don't think Overwatch is going to get me in it. I don't think Paragon is going to get me in it. I thought Evolve might get me back into caring about multiplayer, but I just
now there's like 4 people playing it.
Yeah, so. I mean, for $10 you could probably get on it, but nobody plays it anymore.
Yeah, that's why it's so
Call
cheap.
of Duty sucks. Destiny was fun to play PvP and doing raids and everything, but it just the repetitive nature of even that, which is funny because Rocket League is pure repetitiveness. It is literally the same thing over and over. But I think the difference between that and, say, like a raid in Destiny is that there's something much more gratifying and less time-consuming, less demanding of you, and just much more enjoyable.
Not story-driven.
It's short
with
to
Destiny,
the point.
With
you don't
Destiny,
have to pay attention.
Or if you're playing Assassin's Creed, or if you're playing something like that, like you're going over the story, but you're doing the same exact thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas this is like a basketball game where you are watching the players do pretty much the same motions trying to get there, but there's unlimited amounts of possibilities with that. So that's what makes it interesting.
I did think the multiplayer component of Watch Dogs was kind of cool, though. Watch Dogs, Steve, I don't know if have you heard of Watch Dogs?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, the cool thing about that was that a random person could drop into your story game, and you wouldn't necessarily be playing against them, but they would be trying to hack your phone, and you would have to find them in your vicinity before it got to 100%. It was a fun game of like cat and mouse.
That's cool.
And that was fun. I thought that was unique, but I don't know, the typical Call of Duty matches, stuff like that, just takes a lot for me to care about.
I agree, Ben. The unlimited possibilities.
Yeah. It's endless.
Endless possibilities, because I can't ever think of a scenario that's happened like same time, over and over and over again. It's sometimes they've been flukes, sometimes they've just been, accidents, and whether good or bad. So I just think that this game, in a short amount of time span, well, at least a 5-minute time span you have, is just it offers more than what kind of meets the eye, which is really good.
I have to say, I mean, I've been playing it with the longer time spans too. 15 minutes. Like I've even played I think 30 or 40 minutes, like the really, really long one. And what was crazy about that is that I put it on that mode with my buddy Greg. And we played that on like the easiest mode possible, and it's just so funny because like the final score of the game was like 27-2. It's just like an absolutely ludicrous final score. But I think the longer modes can be really fun, and I find that I am kind of warmed up by the time like 4 or 5 minutes is like elapsed, and I'm really playing well, like the latter half of that time span.
You're not quite buzzed, you're not quite drunk. Yeah, it's that weird in between. Like, right. I think I'm doing good.
Yeah, I feel real good now.
There you go.
It's nice as that 5 minute time span is, and really does force you to really be on your toes and play your best. And it really is kind of unforgiving. Because if you get off to a bad start, I mean, the game is almost kind of lost already. But the longer time spent, I am a fan of those two. I think those can be great fun as well. Kind of like a first half and a second half kind of thing, like an actual soccer game, actually.
Hey.
So
at first you sounded like a crazy person, and then you sounded just fine. It sounds like fun. You're like, I used to just turn up the time on it. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? And I was like,
why would you do that? Yeah. God, it sounds awful. All right, gentlemen, I think that's coming to a wrap. So, Steve, Ryan is familiar with the format, but it's similar to like our other podcast, 3 Shot, where we rate on a 1 to 10 scale of basically the scale just represents your personal experience with the game.
Right.
So on a 1 to 10, Steve, what would you give Rocket League?
I would give it a 9. I think it's a very, very fun game. It's one of the funnest games I've played in a long time. Obviously, my opinion doesn't carry as much weight because I don't play as many games. But as far as being really wrapped up in a game, so much so that there have been nights where Ryan and I have played it for like 4 hours straight. And same goes.
A lot.
Cussed a lot. Absolutely, there's video of us doing just that. And so just getting really wrapped up in a game and just having a really good time.
Yeah.
With like a buddy or 2 buddies. It's really nice that kind of gives you that experience. And so for me, it's a 9.
I think it's very telling when you don't have someone who games a lot and they find that one game and it just keeps them hooked.
Yeah, I think absolutely hooked.
I think that says a lot then for those who just play a lot of games like us, like Ryan, myself, and Ben. So to have like someone like Steve here to play a game every once in a while and just be like, wow, I'm. How many hours would you say you have put into this game?
Oh man, gosh, I'd say maybe like 20 to 30, maybe.
Jesus, I think that's impressive.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah. I would say that's really.
But is that like the only game you play?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
See?
I mean, because it's the type of game. It's the just one more type of game.
Yes.
It is.
Just
it
one
is.
more.
I'm glad you said that because that was something that's one of those. I mean, yeah. I mean that's essentially the hook. If they in the design of a game, if you can successfully get them to go, I wasn't happy with that last one. Let me do it, or let me do another perfected one like I just did. I'm on fire right now. Let's keep going. Like that's.
Well, Psyonix.
That's good.
I wouldn't be surprised if Psyonix looked at apps and games on our phone, and they were thinking, why do people continue playing Candy Crush? It's not because I love Candy Crush. It's because Candy Crush is fun to play while I'm taking a shit, or something like that. It's low committal. I don't feel bad about immediately quitting as soon as I'm done playing the game. If I feel like I'm done, I'm done. Yeah. Rocket League's the same way. There's no commitment. 5 minutes is literally 5 minutes. I mean, there's no time commitment there. I mean, it is very much the type of game for the people that don't want those, long, engrossing gameplay experiences. Rocket League is for those people.
It's very
regular gamer.
accessible. It's very accessible for the stereotypical millennial.
Yeah. That doesn't have time for the story-driven games or doesn't even like video games. I mean, I guarantee that my mom would probably like this game, and my mom doesn't play video games, but she would probably get into it.
Yeah.
And that's
very
just speculation.
surprised.
But 9 out of 10 for me as well. I think, it has the potential to be a 10. I think that it could be a 10 after time goes on, just simply for the fact that it's a game I'd still be playing by that point. And I think that there's something to be said about a game that you are still playing regularly after so much time has passed since it came out. You know, there's certain games I play and I don't ever play them again. And Rocket League is no better than those games, technically speaking. There's no reason for us to care necessarily about Rocket League, but the fact that it is one of the most replayable games ever made, I mean, it could look like balls, and it could just, I don't know, be shitty in so many other ways, but if it continued to be as replayable, it wouldn't matter what that game looked like. That's what people want.
No, I agree. I agree. Because I'm in the camp where I've been playing Team Fortress 2 for about 8 years
Another great
now.
And Counter-Strike, and those games are still going.
Yeah. They have that look. They have the mechanics. They have the thing that keeps you captivated.
I mean, I think TF2 has done a great job of keeping my attention, and you know, I've taken breaks from it only because I've been playing other games. But when I come back to it, it's like, oh my god, I miss you so much.
Yeah, you're reminded. You're like, holy fuck, this game is so much fun. And I've taken breaks from Rocket League too, in the same way where I'll just, you know, I've been getting distracted just either with life or other games, or just don't feel like playing video games. You know, those lulls where you're just like, nothing is interesting.
Yeah.
But then I'll play Rocket League and I'll be like, this game is amazing.
Yeah.
This game is just amazing.
And that's how I feel about Rocket League here. Is that I'm giving it a 9 as well here. I think it's.
I can't believe it.
It's grown on me a lot more the more I played it. But I still have my reservations about it. Yeah. But nonetheless, I think it's still probably one of the most fun replayable games that I've never uninstalled TF2, and I'm pretty sure I will. And I've never uninstalled Left 4 Dead 2 either, and I'm pretty sure I will not uninstall Rocket League.
I miss Left 4 Dead, man. I'm really hoping that the rumors are true that Left 4 Dead 3 is coming out in the next year or two, because that's one of my games I loved playing, and God. I really hope that the third one is.
You still have that headset I gave you.
I do, yeah. It doesn't work on the PS4 though.
Fuck. All right, that sucks. All right, Ben. How about you?
Yeah. 9 as well.
Oh wow.
I knew
that.
Yeah, full sweep of 9s. I'm gonna echo a bunch of stuff that you're saying, but I'd also like to tell a story of my 2015 was that year where I was like, all right, I got money set aside. I'm gonna get a console. What am I getting? And I didn't. I got a PC. I saved up a little bit more. I waited a little longer, and I got my PC just in time for the game I wanted to play, which was Arkham Knight. And right when that happened, I finished it, and I went, whoa, what's next? And that's when Rocket League hit me. What I get excited for when I think of games coming in 2015, with my list last year starting out 2015, my list this year for 2016 looks very like, you're excited for those? Well, duh, because those are made by known quantities. Like, I know if Valve's going to release a game, I'll probably get it. The guys that make Last of Us and Uncharted, like, I'm Naughty Dog, I'm probably going to get it. Yeah. You know, those are going to be known quantities. What the best thing sometimes, or Metal Gear was another one.
Yep.
That's the one I probably sunk the most time into last year. I knew I was going to play the crap out of that.
You and Chris.
Yeah. When it comes to best games that completely cut the legs out from under you, it's from somebody I've never heard of. It's usually got mechanics I've never even considered could ever be a game. Psyonix did that last year with Rocket League. It was one of those things I'm like, holy, like, much in the same way that everyone was playing GoldenEye back in the day. Everyone was doing this or that, you know.
Everyone's playing Rocket League.
Everyone's playing Rocket League. That's like apparently a new one for this year. Like, I was looking forward to Star Wars Battlefront or whatever. And controversial take or leave whether or not it was good or not. I'm not even worried about that. It's just the fact that, you know, people are looking forward to it. You kind of are hoping it's good, but you kind of already know what you're going to get. Rocket League isn't even worried about that. Psyonix doesn't even care. They're just going to go out and give you the craziest, weirdest content, but at the same time make it just satisfying because they're good designers. They know what they're doing and they know what they're making. I'm giving it a 9 because of that alone. But on top of that, the hours of games that I play, I never even thought the beginning of 2015 I would ever play a game with rocket cars where you play soccer. Like, I never would have thought that. I knew I was going to play Batman.
It sounds really ludicrous.
Yeah, and I knew I was going to be Snake for 100 hours or whatever. I knew I was going to do that. Yeah. But now here we are a year later, and it's like one of my favorite games of the year, if not my favorite. Yeah. And it's completely surprising, and that's why I'm giving it a 9. So
awesome.
I loved it. I loved it, and I'll continue.
I have put, well, according to Steam, 22.9 hours.
I wonder how long.
That's it.
Yeah. And wow, Jesus Christ, I played way too much.
Well, the teams we were playing up against too at Fort Land.
Yeah.
That was an interesting thing too, because I'll make this real quick because I know we're wrapping up. But
yeah,
it was one of those things where like multiplayer weekend. That's all you did, and you got two people here. Well, you've played Team Fortress 2 a lot though, so that was kind of part of your gaming DNA.
But so disappointing.
But for you just have seriously better players. I looked at how many hours I played on this Rocket League game, and I look at how much these other players have, and I'm like, I know I'm gonna lose. I know I can't even stand a chance because they've played nearly twice as much as I have. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those things where, like, it kind of opened me up, and it kind of was a good reminder about, in terms of co-op mode and the games we play on the show. It reminds me why we play games that aren't very. I mean, I don't play Dota. I don't play League. I don't play Heroes of the Storm. I don't play Hearthstone. Wow. I don't play any of those. But those are probably the most popular games out there because of the multiplayer, the ability to connect with someone like that, and the community surrounding them. Not that I'm not interested in playing those. I'm just saying that's usually not my bag. So it's so surprising why I love this one so much. But we talked about the reasons why, and so that's why Fort Land was an eye opener for me in that way as a person who plays games regularly. So.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah,
thank
man.
you for coming.
Thank you. Seriously, thank you for coming on. I wish Josh and Chris would be able to do this, but I would like to play with a game with Josh on the PS4 if he's able to. So
yeah.
And even Ryan
Does he have it? Do you know?
His PS4 broke, actually, from what I saw on Twitter. So yeah.
Oh boy.
Dang.
That sucks for him. Well,
but you guys get to be part of the first video one, so sorry.
I know. So I feel so bad that we're we're doing that.
You're part of history being
right.
Yeah, this is the first time we're doing this, so
cool. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so
first and last.
So where can we find you guys online?
I am on Twitter at WoeTotally. You can also find me at RyanPickard.com, PICKARD.
And I'm Steve Clark at Steve Clark Bar on Twitter, and also SteveClarkBar.com.
Oh wow, nice. Ben Teed, how about yourself, bud?
At Ben Teed. Just go to co-opmodereviews.com. co-opmodereviews.com. You'll see how that's spelled. Because my spelling of my name can get kind of weird sometimes.
Tiede.
You'll know how to spell it through that.
Yes, awesome. Yes, please visit our site. Also, we are on the iTunes as well. Please rate, review, subscribe to the show. Nothing less than 5 stars. Thank you so much. Thank you again to Ryan and Steve for joining us. And Ben, it's always a pleasure, buddy. You are like probably one of my gaming buddy. You're my pal.
Yeah, we're witnessing a moment right now. Red shirts.
Well, I tell you what, this has almost been like a political debate. So we have our red shirts over there. We've got Dukakis.
I just now halfway through the show, I realized what that was, and I'm like, oh shoot.
Yeah, so it's almost like it's very appropriate that we're aligned.
I love it. Yeah.
Given that it's an election year.
Man, I just totally
build that wall.
Build that wall.
Build it.
Build that wall. All right, guys.
Give us our jobs back.
All right. Cool.
For another episode, we will be back with Trying To, and it'll just be, I think it's just Ben and I. So thank you again, and we are signing out. Peace out. Goddamn thing.
Audio sync it again.
Yeah, I gotta do that. Ready? And
louder. There you go.
Smack that.
Right there.
All right. Welcome to Co-op.
Wow.
Mike Anthony.
Fuck you, Ben.
Today we're talking about Rocket League, and oh boy, is it fun.
This game sucks. That's Mike.
It's got cars and rockets.
And it's in a league.
And Batmobiles.